Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So this is a video I know all of y'all have been waiting for, and I'm trying not to cry, but it is the video of me and Jensen's father. So I'm gonna first, I honestly don't know how I'm gonna tell y'all this, but I want to try like my very, very best. Um, I'm gonna try not to cry throughout this video too, but I don't think I will. But anyway, so Jensen's father's name is Joshua Motes. I told y'all I'd show y'all a picture since I got to 1500. So this is a picture of what Jensen's dad looks like. Here's a better picture. Um, the reason why I couldn't tell anybody about him, first of all, I was kind of, I was kind of ashamed with myself and everything. And also, I couldn't say anything while I was in the army because I had a no contact order. The reason why I had a no contact order is because he was an NCO in my company. He was actually my ex-boyfriend Steven's NCO. Um, so yeah. And the other part is that he is married. So I'm already prepared for hate comments. Um, Someone told me that I should disable my comments, but I'm not going to disable my comments. Um, I know how Jasmine reacted when y'all were saying stuff to her about her and what's his name being married and her dating him and engaged to him and stuff like that. But you know, I'm gonna be as strong as she was with this. So, um, yeah. So he is married. He is still currently married. Doesn't look like they're gonna get a divorce. Um, so I'm just gonna start out by just talking about like how it happened, like what happened, how it all started. So, like I said, he was an NCO in my company. He was actually an NCO in the motor pool. He was an E5, by the way. He wasn't anything like, oh, hi. He was just an E5. But so I knew him throughout the motor pool. He was always the guy who brings Red Bulls everywhere. Every time you see Josh or Sergeant Modes, um, he would have a Red Bull in his hand. Like he would always have Red Bull, and he was like the funny NCO. So one night, this is how it started. So he was on CQ one night in my barracks building, and I was actually going around collecting what are those, the tops off the cans, because I was going to use them. I was going to wash them off and clean them and use them in my closet because I never had enough closet space in my closet for all my clothes. So I was going to do the little hanger trick with the bottle caps that I seen on Facebook. So I was going around collecting them, and he was like, "Oh, I have all my Red Bull cans. Maybe they might work." And well, then when I seen his cans, his tops, I was like, "Oh yeah, that would work." So he's like, "Well, just come by every now and again." And he was like, "I'll give you one." I was like, "Okay." So, um, then he had messaged me like later on that night because I was like one of the only ones in the barracks who had their own room, and I'd always have an owner. I never had a roommate, so I was like, "Yay." But so he had messaged me on Messenger, on Facebook Messenger, and was like, "Hey, do you still have that spare bedroom?" And I was like, "Yeah, why?" He's like, "Do you mind if I go and sleep in there?" He's like, "For a few hours." He's like, I can't, fit on the couch. I'm too tall because he's like 6'4". And I was like, at first I was gonna say no. I was like, I don't know about all that. But then I was thinking, I was like, okay, all he's gonna do is go in there and shut the door. I was like, I don't think he'd do anything. So I was like, okay. So I agreed and I told him he could. And So what had oh God, shut up, Marley. Anyway, so he came in and I brought him a blanket and a pillow, and I was like, there it is. I'll, good night. But while it happened, I was like, oh my God, what are you doing? Like, he's married. But then again, at that time, during that time frame, him and his wife were separated. Like, I guess they got into a huge fight about something. I know I'd heard about it, and she was in Oklahoma, and he was here. And but that's just when another NCO told me that, like, she left and all that kind of stuff. But I know it's no excuse. So anyway, so then he was like, then he would start messaging me again. He's like, "Oh, it's so cold in this room," and I'm just thinking to myself, like, "Dude, shut the hell up! Like, quit bothering me. Like, just go sleep." And then, so I was like, "Okay, what am I gonna do? Like, I have this NCO in my room by myself, and I'm like, fuck." Please don't do anything. Please don't do anything. Like, be the bigger person and don't do anything. But no. So I'm staying up and I'm like cleaning. I'm trying to find anything to clean just to keep me up. So, like, I don't have to go to sleep and stuff with him being in there. So then he starts messaging me, "Oh, you should come cuddle with me. You should come cuddle with me." And I'm like, dude, you're fucking married. Like, stop. Like, please just stop. Like, even though you're not with your wife right now, the Army still recognize you're still married. So then he comes out and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna jump in your bed. Your bed's comfortable." And I'm like, "How do you know my bed's comfortable?" So then he goes and gets up and goes in my room. I'm like, seriously? And then, because I had a pillow top on my bed, so of course my bed's gonna be comfortable. Like, I'm not gonna sleep on the freaking hard ass mattress. Like, it's not gonna happen. But ugh, sorry, I've been sick lately. Anyway, so he goes and jumps in my room, and I'm like, okay, I'm definitely not going to bed. I'm definitely not going to bed. I'm going to stay up and clean, do laundry, do whatever I can to stay up. Don't fall asleep, because then I'm not getting in the bed with him. And this is all at first. So then he gets up out of the bed, and he's got a blanket around him. And he comes and puts his arms around me and was like, "You should really come to bed," and all that kind of stuff. I was like, "I'm doing laundry, blah, 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 this." I mean, he's not really that bad of a looking guy. I don't think he is. I mean, I don't think he's totally ugly or anything. And I mean, he was like the super cool, funny NCO guy. Like, he was just cool to go around and talk to. If you need advice, you can just go up to him and he'd help you out and everything. Um, I always was like, hey, if you need something, go talk to Tom Notes. Tom Notes will hook you up. And I was always like that with him. And then, like, anytime you come in the office and need stuff, I'm like, yeah, I got you. I was like, it was just something like that. I was cool like that with everybody, but still. So then, it's like 2 in the morning, and I'm literally exhausted. And I'm like, I can't keep my eyes open. I was like, fuck. I was like, I'm so tired. I was like, and he's still here. And I really didn't want to be mean. I'm like, okay, what do I do? And then, so I was like, you know what, fine. I'm just going to get in the bed, turn my back away from him. He probably won't do anything. But then again, I know he might. So I was like, ugh. So I was like in this really big, I don't know what to do moment. Even though I knew what I should have done, I should have just went into the other room. I didn't. I kind of just I don't know how to explain it. But I guess I just let my sexual frustration, I guess, get in the bed. And then, like, at first, I was like, okay, I'm getting in. I was like, scoot over. I was like, but then I faced away from him. My back was towards him. And then, so I was like trying to go to sleep. And then he kept like, was like, Marley. And I'm like, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up. And at this point, I'm like so nervous and scared. Like, I literally feel like I'm gonna pee myself in the bed. And so I'm like trying to pretend like I'm asleep. I'm like, what? What do you want? I'm trying to sleep. And then he like whispers in my ear. He's like, I really want to fuck you. And I'm like, my eyes just like open up really big. I was like, no, you did not just say that. Like, so I was like pretending like I was ignoring him and like I didn't hear. So then he goes and starts like massaging me and stuff. And he was like rubbing my back, rubbing my hips and stuff. Then he starts kissing me on my neck, and I'm like, fuck, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And then in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, this is my ex boyfriend Steven's NCO, like his old NCO. I was like, maybe I should do like some kind of like revenge sex. And I was like, hmm. So at the point, he wasn't really like stopping or anything. And I was just like, okay. I was like, maybe he'll stop if I just give in. So pretty much, I literally just gave in. That night, we had sex. He got up and it was like nothing had happened. And then he had went home that night and went to sleep and stuff. And then the next day, he had messaged me again on Messenger and was like, "Oh, you should come hang out at my house." And I'm like, "What the hell am I gonna do?" And then I'm like, so needless to say, we pretty much started this little fling and stuff, even though it wasn't even good sex, really. Anyway, it wasn't. But I mean, I've had better. Like his freaking soldier head was better sex than that. So we pretty much started this fling, and the whole time his wife is still in Oklahoma. And I would drive like almost an hour to his house. Like I lived in Fort Campbell, he lived in Cadiz, Kentucky, which is like an hour away almost. So I would literally, drive because he was broke. Like he was mainly, using all, the money he had left and the gas he had left to go back and forth and from work. So I was like, okay, I'll just drive out there. So then I would drive out there, and then that was the first time I'd ever been to his house or even knew where he lived. So I go out there and we're just chilling for a little bit, and then he's like, oh, do you want to have sex again? And I was like, I mean, I didn't really just drive out here for nothing, I guess. But so yeah, I would go out to his house, and I would pretty much like he lived in like a double wide trailer, out in the middle of like nowhere on Princeton Road. And like when you walk in, like his chair is like right there by the door, and then you got like another little chair, and then like a little couch, and then like a little coffee table in the middle and stuff like that. I would always go sit on the couch, like kind of a little bit away from him, and we would sit there and just talk and watch TV and stuff like that. Then he was telling me how his I guess this is the reason why she left or why he kicked her out or something like this, or why they were separated, because this was the story I had heard, and then he had pretty much confirmed it. So apparently his wife got like really drunk one night. Apparently she's like a really big drinker and stuff, and I'm also hearing she does drugs. So I'm like really about all that. But he was telling me that she got drunk one night and came home with the next door neighbors. Came home and they had like a bonfire and stuff, and she smelled like smoke and alcohol and stuff like that. And she wanted to have sex, and he told her, okay, just go take a shower. He's like, and then we'll have sex. Well, apparently she got pissed off about it. I'm thinking in the back of my head, like, all he was asking you to do is take a shower, and he'll have sex with you. Like, I mean, I would say the same thing. If you smell, I'm not getting in the bed with you. Hell no. So apparently she got all pissed off and went in the kitchen, grabbed a knife, and started like stabbing the back of his pants, and like chased him around his whole house. with a knife, like because his like trailer is like a circle, almost like whenever you go into the living room, you go into the bedroom. Um, he's got a king size bed. Then he's got a little workout area, I guess, going on. And then if you go around that way, it brings you to the laundry room, and then the laundry room brings you to the kitchen, the kitchen brings you to the living room. It's a big old circle. So apparently she was chasing him around with a knife. And he called the cops and sent her to jail. And I guess ever since she's been in Oklahoma. Well, he was telling me, he's like, oh yeah, she's always been cheating on me, stuff like that. He's like, I've never cheated on her, all this kind of stuff. So this is like the first time. He's like, I feel like if she can go and cheat on me and stuff like that, I guess I can go cheat on her. Even though that's not really how it works, y'all. Guys out there, that's not how it works. Um, that's how it started. But so then it's July 4th weekend, and he's on CQ again. So I we had just moved out of our old barracks because of the whole black mold problem into other barracks, and I had to go clear that barracks that had all the mold in it and get all my stuff out so that I can, completely move into my other one. But what the thing is, they had it on lockdown, and whoever was on CQ would have to let you in and go clean your room. And they were giving everybody until the weekend, that Monday to clean it. So I was like, well, actually Tuesday, because it was a 4-day. So then I messaged him, a messenger asking, I was like, hey, are you on CQ? And he was like, yeah, unfortunately. And I asked him if he could unlock the building so I can go and clean my room. So he does, and he, comes over to my room, is chilling and stuff. Well, then we found out that there was another soldier already in the building. And we didn't even know how he got in, but it was another NCO that worked with him. So then he was kind of being really discreet. He's like, oh, there's somebody here. We can't really do anything. And I'm like, dude, I'm really just trying to clean my room. Like, I'm just trying to get this over with. And then another NCO who pretty much was like, I felt like he was stalking me a little bit. I'd always let him use my car just because I felt bad because he was walking around everywhere. He didn't have a vehicle or anything. And he comes around. He was like, he looked at me and was like, what are you and Sergeant doing? And I'm like, none of your business. Like, go the fuck on somewhere. Like, it's none of your business. Like, I was that type of way with him. Like, that NCO, I would tell him to go fuck off. Like, because he was always trying to get my pants, and I never let him. So I guess he kind of like hinted and knew what was going on and stuff. And I know he went and told another NCO about it. But so it was July 4th. I really wasn't doing anything except for I was going to clean the rest of my room. And me and him talked. He said his wife was coming back. So I was like, okay, well then, we both agreed that we should end things. But he was like, oh, well, I still want to have sex with you one last time. And I'm like, okay. So I pretty much agreed to it. And so that was when we ended it. His wife was coming back. I guess they had worked something out. Kudos to them. And that was pretty much the end of it. I was like, okay, this is the end of it. I was like, I ain't got a problem. So then the weeks go on and stuff like that. I see him in the motor pool, be like, hi, Starbucks, all that kind of stuff. Pretend like nothing ever happened. Like, we literally pretend like nothing ever happened. Like, we wouldn't look at each other a certain way. Nothing. Like, we literally pretend like nothing ever happened. Well, then, a couple weeks go by, and my period never came. And I'm like, oh, what's going on? Because now I'm trying to be with somebody else, and like, I told him, I was like, okay, we can wait until after my period. I said, because my period can come anytime now. And I was like, and I really don't want to have sex when my period comes. I was like, because I really hate that, and I just think it's so disgusting. I was like, and then I won't ever talk to you again. Pretty much. So, I waited, to have sex with this guy until after my period came. Well, then my period never came, and I was like, okay, I can't be pregnant. The reason why I was like, I can't be pregnant by Josh, because even though we were having unprotected sex, Josh has a rare muscle disease called rhabdomyosis. And with that, he's supposedly sterile, from what he told me. And from what doctors told him in Fort Hood, that he could never have children. Him and his wife have been together since May 23rd, 2011. And they have no kids together. Even though she has a kid with another guy, she doesn't have custody of him because of drugs. So, so I was like, okay. So I had messaged him, and I was like, because I was a week late, and I was like, okay, maybe it's just stress because at that time I was moving to Korea, and I was like, maybe it's just stress or something because I've been late before due to stress. And so I messaged him. I was like, "Are you sure you can't get anyone pregnant?" I was like, because I'm late, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm positive." He's like, "I've been tested and everything," and I was like, okay. And then he even brought up, he's like, it might be stress. You're PCS into Korea. It's a big move for you. All that kind of stuff. I said, yeah, you're right. So then after that, I didn't think anything of it. I was like, okay, I know he's got rhabdomyosis. I know he can't get anyone pregnant. Can't even get his own wife pregnant. And I was like, okay, I think I'm good. My period should come anytime now. Then 2 weeks goes by, and I'm like, okay, let me just take a pregnancy test just to make sure that I'm not pregnant. And just to let everybody know, I wasn't sleeping with anybody else. He was the very last person I was sleeping with from June, what was it, 21st to July 4th. He was the only sexual partner I ever had. And even from July 4th to, July 4th to July 27th, when apparently I was pregnant during that time with his kid, I still wasn't having sex with anybody. I didn't have sex with another person until after I had found out I was already pregnant. So, long story short, I found out I'm pregnant, and I told him about it. And I even sent him a picture of the pregnancy test. I was like, I don't think your little test in Fort Hood was correct. I was like, because this is showing that you got me pregnant. And then at first he's like, oh, he even told me he was happy. And I was like, what the hell? Like, what am I going to do? And he was like, oh, I'm so happy. He's like, and I was like, why? I was like, I slept with a married NCO and got pregnant. I was like, how are you happy? And he was like, because I was told I could never have kids. He's like, this is my first kid. He's like, so, I'm not pissed off. He's like, but I'm bummed. He's like, because we can't keep it. And then in my mind, I'm like, what do you mean we can't keep it? Like, this is my body. You can't tell me I have to get something rid out of my body. Like, that's not about to happen. So, pretty much after he found out that I was not going to terminate the pregnancy, he then blocked me off Facebook, blocked my number, wouldn't even talk to me about anything. It was like the first week because I told myself I'm going to OBGYN and all that kind of stuff, and then I told him, I was like, yeah, it's confirmed I am pregnant. I was like, I'm 5 weeks, all that kind of stuff. And then I was like, but the doctors need to know your blood type. I was like, because I'm a positive. I was like, if you're any kind of negative, I said, then I have to get, I think it's a Rogran shot. I think it's what it's called. I have to get that shot so it doesn't kill the baby. And then he told me he was A positive, and then that's pretty much how I found out that I was keeping the baby. And then after that, that's when he blocked me on Facebook, blocked my number, all that kind of stuff. And then that's when a couple weeks later, then the chain command found out, questioned me about it, because I already know who went and said something. I'm not even gonna go and spill their name or anything. I'm already went and talked to that person. That person was trying to help, but I guess she didn't know that it would get me in trouble. She's a civilian, by the way. So, so they already knew everything, pretty much. So it was pointless for me to even try to lie and cover it up, even though I think I could have, because I mean, how are they gonna prove anything? Like I was deleting text messages. Like the only text messages I didn't delete was from July 4th and so on. So they started an investigation. They started questioning me. They they ended up telling me I had to give them the text messages from my phone. I didn't know that I didn't have to. But apparently I didn't. I really didn't have to. I could have. I mean, honestly, I could have lied, but I just chose not to. It was just. I mean, after I found out that he didn't want to. He didn't even want to talk to me about anything. Doesn't even want to be in Jensen's life or anything like that. Oh my God! Don't cry! Don't cry! You're stronger than this. Okay. Um. With Josh not being in the picture and with me doing everything on my own, it sucks. It really does suck. Um, I didn't want to be that type of person to try and ruin a marriage or break up a marriage and everybody think I'm a homewrecker and stuff like that. Um, Obviously, his wife found out through the chain of command once the investigation started. He has denied everything. He has just denied everything. And to this day, he still denies it. In the part two video, I will read you the um, investigation letter and stuff like that and tell you like what really happened afterwards. But he's pretty much not in his life. He hasn't even tried to contact me. I've tried to contact him after I've gotten out of the military. He still will not answer any of my messages. Wife calls me a lying whore and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, that is pretty much it. So I wonder, y'all are probably wondering why I have like a picture frame of Josh. I want Jensen to always. I don't want to keep Jensen away from his father. I mean, if he wants to go and do his own thing, that's fine. But I at least want my son to know that hey, mommy at least tried. But I printed his picture out to always let Jensen have a photo of his dad. Like my little sister Ireland, she has no pictures of her dad. She doesn't even know what her dad really looked like. She's got like 2 pictures of him. So, I just wanted, to Jensen to always know, hey, this is your dad. Like, this is your father. And looking at, his freaking thing, Jensen's gonna look like his dad when he comes out. Everybody's telling me, like, Jensen is already showing pictures of his dad. So, well, not his dad. I'm gonna say father because he hasn't really been a dad to anything. He hasn't helped out with anything. Like I said, I've been doing this all by myself. So, I mean, it's literally been rough. And like I said, I didn't want to cause, I know I caused a lot, with him and his wife. They probably have gotten into it a couple of times about it. But then again, I really don't know what has been going on. But yeah. So that was pretty much the reason why I got out of the military. To answer some of y'all's questions, I was forced out. It was either I was gonna get out with the adultery chapter, or I was gonna at first I was getting out with the adultery. And then once I found out that they weren't doing anything to him, pretty much, it didn't seem like they were doing anything to him. I went to talk to my lieutenant colonel, and I was like, this isn't fair. I was like, I'm getting kicked out, and he's not. I was like, and he's the senior leader. I was like, I'm losing school benefits and everything because of this. And then that's when, you know, my colonel made an arrangement for me to get out with the chapter 8, which is the pregnancy chapter, which you can get out with once a soldier finds out that she's pregnant. She can either stay in the army, which you do have the option. I will say this again: if you get pregnant in the army, you are allowed to stay in. You are allowed to stay in. They do not criticize you for being pregnant in the army. The only reason with my situation is because I got pregnant with a married NCO. So, because at first, when you get counseled for your pregnancy, you get the option with the chapter 8. If you want to get out with the chapter 8, which you had to be out a month prior to your due date, and then the army pays for it. But with my situation, I was already getting chaptered out with the PT, so she told me I couldn't take the chapter 8 because there's already a chapter going through with me. And then they had switched my PT to adultery once they found out fraternization and adultery with Josh. So they switched my chapter over to that way. And then they switched it again to the chapter 8 once, you know, I went and talked to my Lieutenant Colonel Smith about it. So that is it for this part of the video. The second part, I will tell you what is going on, which will be in tomorrow's video. I will tell you what's going on now, and the investigation, what happened during the investigation, what all he said and what all I said. So stick around for that video. Please be gentle in the comments. I know they're going to have some hate comments, and I'm ready for them. But yeah, that's who Jensen's father is. So see y'all in tomorrow's video.